The Greek word for blindness?
Strong's G 4457, porosis. Porosis.
The covering with a callous obtrusiveness of mental discernment. Dulled. Yeah, the covering with a callous obtrusiveness of mental discernment. Dulled perception. The mind of one who has been blunted. Of stubbornness, obduracy.
Hey, stubbornness. That, like, I'm gonna give you an example. The thing on Cornelius, we made it crystal clear that Cornelius is an Israelite, but you got cats out there that's still teaching that he's an Edomite because of your blindness. And the word and the definition of blindness is stubbornness. A lot of you guys don't want to even look into it because I've been taught that. I was taught that back in '92. I ain't changing. I don't give a damn what Elder Tahar said. That's stubbornness. That's part of your blindness, all right?
That's right. Yeah, the Greek word and pride, like the brothers say. The Greek word is porosis, the covering with a callous, obtrusiveness of mental discernment, which they don't accept Cornelius as an Israelite because they have no mental discernment. Dulled perception, yeah, the perception is dull. And then it says the mind of one who has been blunted. Now the opposite of sharp is blunt. Like when you have a blunt knife doesn't cut, man. You know? Then down here it says obtrusiveness of mental discernment, dull perception, the mind of one who has been blunted. So basically that's why they can't get it.
Right. So, you know, those definitions are something else, man. So basically the Lord blinded them. He blunted their mind. Now this is 1 Timothy 4:1. It says, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter time some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron. So basically that's the Lord blinding them so they can't see it. Now, this issue with Cornelius being an Israelite, it's an easy thing. It's an easy thing to understand if the Lord opened up your mind, you know, because here it is. On the one hand, they'll say he's a heathen or the so-called white man. But then on the other hand, if you ask them if the white man can be saved, they'll say no, you know. And then the purpose for the Lord coming to Cornelius was so he can receive salvation.
It said definitively that Cornelius was going to be saved. So if Cornelius can be in fact saved and he's an Edomite, that means Edomites can be saved. And we all know that Edomites is not going to be saved. So you guys are blunted in your mind.
Yep, that's right. The Lord blunted your mind, you know. So that is an easy thing, you know. That's why down there Elder Tar was telling me about the them guys on 14th Street where this guy confronted them about the Cornelius issue, and he was asking them if Cornelius can be saved, and they were saying no. Would show you they have no clue. They have no clue or no understanding of the scriptures. Not a single clue. You know, you have no idea of what the scriptures are speaking of, man. You know, the only purpose the Lord went to Cornelius was that was the beginning of the Israelite foreigners coming back to the grace and mercy of the Lord. You know, that's the only reason why. And that was the beginning of it. You have to have a beginning, right? The Lord said that all his works have a beginning and an ending, right? So the beginning of the Lord bringing back Israel from among the nations was Cornelius. You know, which Elder Tahar went into the word Cornelius. Now the word Cornelius is the word kernel. Comes from the word kernel, which you have what? A kernel of corn, which is what? The seed. You know? So now what is that seed? That seed is Israel. But now that seed of Israel has to be given another seed for salvation. And what's the seed of salvation? The words of the Lord. It tells you in Luke the 8th chapter that the seed is the word of the Most High.
In particular, the understanding of Yahushua.
Right, and then, like the Elder Gabar said, in particular, the understanding of Yahushua, because you had Israelites back then that knew that they were Israelites. They were keeping the laws. You know, they had the Torah, the Tanakh, and all that, but they didn't believe in the Messiah. You know, when the Lord came, they didn't accept him. You know, so that's the key. The key is Yahweh Shai. You know, so you have, you know, Cornelius is an Israelite. You know, and the reason why the Lord sent Peter to him basically was to get him the word and the salvation so that the works of the Lord can go forward. You know, because it was time for the Israelite foreigners to be wakened up pursuant to prophecy. You know, the Lord said the tents of Judah shall be raised up first, and then afterwards would come what? The Israelite foreigners, which is the rest of Israel. So Judah had to be raised up first so the rest of Israel wouldn't boast against them. You know? So it's easy. It's easy. You know, but, you know, a lot of you guys make it complicated because the Lord blinded your minds. All right? So, matter of fact, I'll read that again in Romans 11 chapter. It says, for I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery. So this is a mystery. The Israelite foreigner issue is a mystery. It says, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written. So basically all Israel shall be saved. But 2/3 have to die on this side. And then when we get to the promised land, which is Israel, then the 2/3 are going to come back through the 1/3, which are the elect. You know, just like when you go back to the deliverance of Egypt, when Moses brought our forefathers out of Egypt, they were the older generation. They wandered in the wilderness for 40 years until all of them died. The only ones that went into the promised land was their children and the two main, Joshua and Caleb. I was thinking I should have held that one back, you know, but you know, Joshua and Caleb, they went into the promised land, and they took only the children of the older generation, and none of the older generation made it. So it's the same thing now. The 2/3 are not going to make it into the promised land on this go, but then when the elect is established in the kingdom, then their children are going to be the ones coming back. That's what the scriptures say, that all Israel shall be saved, and it said that thy people shall be all righteous. And then up above in Isaiah the 60th chapter, which I was looking for, it said that thy officers shall be peace. So there's not going to be no more that static, you know, between Jake. You know, you have, you know, even you see that on that show Gangland. You know, you see all these different Jakes. They're the same people, but they got different cliques, different gangs, and they'll fight each other for a damn color. You know, and they'll scheme on somebody, you know, because of a damn color. You know, same thing with Issachar and the other tribes. You know, all that's going to be done away with. All this animosity among Israel is going to be done away with. And then that's what pursuant to the curses. You know, going back to the chapter 3 of understanding the scriptures, that's part of the curses. You know, part of the curses was that the Lord was going to break the brotherhood between Israel and Judah. You know, and that's why all this separation is going on. So it says, and so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. So right now, it's not going to happen. You know, it's not going to happen right now. Why? Because of the fact that the Most High has a purpose. When you go back, when Yahweh Shai was on the scene, there was Israelites fighting against Israelites, putting Israelites to death. You know, they had different doctrines back then, but there was one way that was correct. That was the way that Yahweh Shai was teaching, the disciples were teaching, which later became apostles, that Paul was teaching, and the men that were with Paul. And they always had infightings with the wicked Pharisees and Sadducees and scribes in them.
They had infightings with themselves.
Right, they fought amongst each other. They argued amongst each other.
Yeah, they had infightings among themselves. Like, for example, Peter had went off. Matter of fact, give me that in Galatians. I believe that's the 2nd chapter. Yeah, right around here. All right, go ahead.
This is Galatians chapter 2, verse 11. But when Peter was come to Antioch, I withstood him to the face.
This is Paul speaking. Go ahead.
It says, because he was to be blamed. For before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles.
Now, he did eat with the Gentiles. A lot of you camps outside of GMS, all I got to do is come up to you and say, could you please break this scripture down to me? You wouldn't know how to break it down. You picture in your mind a bunch of damn Romans, crackers, Edomites, maybe some Hamites or whatever, Ishmaelites, Moabites, because you don't understand the scriptures. Those Gentiles were Israelites, which started with Cornelius. Because not only Cornelius, salvation wasn't just received in his house to him, but salvation was received to his household. That means his wife, his children. They didn't